Hi there. I think this is working again. I think I'm getting the hang of this. I'm Heather from Upcycled Vintage Art, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of painting today. I'm setting aside time twice a week, trying to get around midday Wednesdays and Fridays to work a little bit on studies and sketches that I do and prepping art before I do an upcycle. So today I'm working on Ewoks and studies of Ewoks and the Millennium Falcon. And yeah, you're welcome to watch over my shoulder while I'm working, and I natter away. So anyway, I'm going to get to it because I don't have a lot of time to paint today. So I'm going to just move my face out of the way. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to get set up. So I am working on, if you've seen this before, a little bit of inspiration, my old record from when I was a kid. I've got this old vintage scrapbook, which I love because the paper is really thick and fun to work on because it's kind of old. So I've got a few already underway from the last couple times that I've sat down to do some painting. So I've got a few pages left. I'm just making a bit of space here. Whoop. I'm going to move this. As I'm working, my workspace gets more and more precarious because it just gets more cluttered the further along in a project I get. So I was spilling all sorts of things earlier. So I've got a few pages left, and at the back of the book I jumped to doing studies of Endor, the moon of Endor, and the planet Endor. And I did one Millennium Falcon study. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 pages left. So I've got 9 available to me to do more as I'm getting ready to paint a new altered piece inspired by Return of the Jedi. So anyway, I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a little bit of an Ewok study because this is a really rough bit of paper, and I might use a smoother one towards the back for another Millennium Falcon study. So I'm just going to open up my reference here, and yeah, so let me see. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know from my stories that I'm flip-flopping between painting Ents and painting Ewoks. So I've got to scroll past a little bit of Lord of the Rings reference material here. So we've had a bit of fun painting Wicket, and there's a couple others that would be kind of fun to paint. Why don't we start with this absolutely adorable teddy bear kind of looking guy. So I've got my next upcycle has a few Ewoks in it, and I haven't decided which ones are going to go in yet. So this is a good way of me testing them out, seeing what colors I like, seeing which characters I like the best, and yeah. So the paint has dried since I last used it. I use Liquitex heavy body acrylic paint because it kind of acts a little bit like oil paint in that it's a bit thicker, and it has a nice texture to it. And I don't know why I'm getting green out. I do not need green. So for these studies I don't use a lot of color because I like to try and keep it as just simple, just working in the tones that are there. So the more color you add to something, the more you stop kind of just working quickly, which is the idea of these. They're meant to be quick sketches with acrylic paint, just to get the feel for the characters, and don't want to have to yeah, they're not meant to be finished, like super finished pieces. I just noticed is that not a baseball bat? That absolutely looks like a baseball bat to me. So it might be. Yeah, so anyway, I am painting here, and I'm using my husband said you should use this software that lets you stream to multiple platforms at once, which is wonderful because I'm able to stream to you on Instagram and YouTube at the same time. However, because I'm painting and it's just me doing this, I actually can't really answer any questions or anything, which is a little bit I know some of you were asking questions along the way, so maybe if one day I have help with this, I can do a little bit of that and ask questions while I'm working. But for now, we'll just, if you have anything you'd like to know or ask me about it, just drop me a note and I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you after. So I like, because I learned how to paint with, I really like painting with oil paints. But there's a bit more to that. You have to have better ventilation and more thinners and stuff like that. And I like working with watercolor too. So I've kind of learned a technique that's kind of, I paint the same way that I do with my oil paints, in that I paint from dark to light, thin to thick paint, because that's just how I do it. So this heavy body acrylic works well like that too. So it's this technique works well because maybe I should paint his bat. Should I paint his bat? I'm going to paint his bat. Just at least a little nod to the bat there. Just because his hands are holding it, I don't have to think about reshuffling his hands to a different position. So hands, paws. What do you think? Ewoks have hands or paws? We were talking about paint. So that's why I like the heavy body acrylic paint, because I paint thin to thick with this, dark to light. And just make sure everything is working over there. Looks like it's working. The nice thing about doing that too is that when you work with paint thinly, it dries quicker, so you can keep working wet into wet like this. So this guy does have lighter, fluffier fur, but it still has it still needs to be a little darker underneath, because that's going to dark to light. So I'm painting the whole surface, even though he's not that color. I want to just tint it a little bit, so I've got something to work with. And, you know, the stage, it looks a little disturbing, doesn't it? Just trying to get all the darks in where I want them to be. Not really worrying about the color at this point. I'm just thinking about warms and cools, and I can add a hit of the actual color closer to when I'm done. And this is the first one of the day, so usually this one's a little bit messier and looser. But a big point of me doing these studies twice a week, or sitting down and making a point of doing them live, is it forces me to work quick, and just, it's basically like exercise. Like you go to the gym to train and you know, exercise your body, but painting from life reference, you know, anything, just sitting down and doing it without having a purpose to it is just exercise for artists. So it's that's what I'm doing right now. So it's exercising before I work on the finished piece. So you can see I just grabbed some white because I want to start building up the tones, or building up the light and dark. And I'm really not happy with this color because it's really kind of it's kind of like a chocolatey color, except there's a little bit of that color right here where his edge of his cowl thing is. So I'm just going to hit it with that color just in a couple little places. But aside from that, I'm going to, oops, I'm going to wipe it off here. I was wiping it off on a canvas next to me because that's a habit, but I forgot that with these I have the fun of, I can actually wipe it off on the paper so you can see what I'm doing. The reason I do this is that it gets the paint out off the brush, and I don't end up with a very messy bucket of water. So like this bucket of water I've been working from, it's mostly clear, for a week now. Yeah, so it keeps it out of the waterways, and which is always good. I need a bit of a warmer tone. I don't really want it to be too warm. I just want a little bit of warm yellowy. I'm going to put that color. This I need a bit of that. So I think that's a yellow oxide. Just checking to see if I've got a tube that's already open. We will go with a new tube. Whoop. Okay. I think I might like a little bit of burnt sienna too, just as an option, because his cowl is a little bit rusty looking. Like it's kind of a raw sort of color. So, and I feel like my brush is is a little bit on the big side at the moment, but I'm just gonna I'm going to work with it anyway. I'm going to go a little bit higher up so you can see the colors I'm working with. Yeah. So I like drawing with a paintbrush because I don't feel super confident drawing with a pencil. I like drawing with a paintbrush because you've got texture and thicks and thins and darks and lights that you can achieve really quickly. I guess it's called painting, but we used to call it draw. We're going to draw with a paintbrush today, which is kind of fun. That's a bit too much. So I'm just hitting it with a bit of texture in places just to give the feeling of the cowl that he's wearing. What has he got? Are those ribbons? Strings of some sort? I can't tell. Here they look like strings, but here it's kind of a weird pattern. So I'm just going to just do a little gesture of those there. We don't really need to concentrate on those because it's more about, this one's more meant to be about his face, and because you can tell I'm avoiding that right now. I'm getting warmed up. But just going to get the bits in around that's going to frame his face. And while the paintbrush is a bit clogged with the wrong color, I'm going to switch over to a bit of a beigey browny light color just to kind of give the hit of his bat here. Okay. And shouldn't be using this color in other places because it's not very nice, but I can't resist at the moment. So Ewoks. I told my husband I was painting Ewoks. He's like, oh, stupid Ewoks. I like the Ewoks. I thought they were fun, and I thought they were adorable, and I'm okay with them. So we used to watch the Ewok cartoon when we were kids, and loved it. So I think that's a difference when my husband's a few years older than me, not that much, but old enough that when like a 14-year-old is like, blah, that's stupid. There's no way they're going to ever like it. But to a 10-year-old, it's like, oh, that's cool. Those are fun. So anyway, just a few years can make a big difference between whether you like something or you hate it. Yeah, this brush is too big. I'm just going to switch to a different one just to start working on his face. So again, going from darks to lights, I'm going to get more deliberate in where things are here. So I want to get his eyes where they're going to be. And again, it's just a little hint of it. It's not meant to be super realistic. So I'm going to use a bit of what's there. So another reason I like drawing with paintbrushes is that if I make something too big or too small, I can cut back in with the paint and remove or add lights and darks just and adjust the shape to get it just right. So I was a little bit late to start this out. I like the idea of doing this at a regular time and being a reliable person. I've always been a really reliable person with work and never miss deadlines and stuff. But now that I'm working part-time, like it's one of those things. I was working full-time, then I had 3 kids, and then it's slowly one of those things that kind of gets introduced again, working part-time the last few years. I could very easily do this full-time, but I don't have the time to do it full-time because my kids still need me. I'm still driving them to school. I'm doing all that stuff. I'm available for them. So anyway, as much as I would love to start everything exactly on time and be regular about all this stuff, my life is a bit unpredictable still. So my painting time is at the whim of life. So, and I'm okay with that. So I hope you're okay with that. That if I say I'm painting at 12, it might be 12:15, or I might completely forget because if something's come up, real life takes over, and I forget other stuff. So So that is why when I'm often asked about commissions and stuff, that's why I keep it very open and flexible, because I don't, I am doing this part-time, and my first job is mum. So so these Ewoks are for a special commission, and another mum has commissioned me to do this, so she gets it, and she's been very gracious with and very patient. So she dropped off her painting to me ages ago because they were doing some work on their house, and she's like, it'd be better off with you. But I mean, she's been so patient waiting for me to work on this. So, but yeah, so this is the only commission I have on the go right at this moment, because I don't want anyone else to be waiting for me. While my life is so unpredictable. My painting time is kind of hit and miss. So sometimes I get like, sometimes I'll get like half an hour or an hour to paint in a day. And luckily I paint kind of quick. But sometimes I don't get any. Sometimes I get a whole day, and then I kind of am a bit shocked. I don't really know how to handle it. So I'm just used to being interrupted or not getting things done when I want to. So anyway, the reason I'm saying this is because I get asked a lot about commissions. I thought it's nice for you to know why I keep it so open. Yeah. All right. I'm starting to what I call tighten up a bit, because I'm chatting and I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing, and I don't want to over render this, and I just want to be thinking about what I'm doing a bit more. So I'm gonna pull in some highlights where the fur is in just a few deliberate places and just see how it looks, reassess, because I don't need to put fur everywhere. I don't need to finish the whole thing. But if I don't do this, I'm just going to keep on building it up and getting more and more detailed, and that's not what I'm wanting here. This is just meant to be a quick study to help me decide which Ewoks are going to go, are the best ones for the altered painting I'm working on. So the lady who's commissioned it had a painting. It was like her parents' painting. So it's one of those things that sometimes you have a painting and you want to keep it because it belonged to someone important to you, but sometimes it's like, I just feel so bored of it, or I don't love it. And I mean, I get bored of my paintings and we'll switch them around and stuff like that too. So it's like, it's kind of easy you get tired of stuff. Anyway, adding in just a little bit of fun to it, so then it can be enjoyed as a beautiful old painting, but also reminds her of her folks. And I guess also of her childhood, because this would have been, like me, she enjoys the Ewoks and Star Wars. All right, so I'm happy with how some of these highlights are looking, because it's they're kind of pulling out. Not happy with his nose right now, but I'm going to fix that after. I just caught myself being lazy and resting my arm on the table. There's a reason to don't do that. It's because when you go like this, you cram up and you just end up tightening up your brush strokes, and that's never good. Oh my goodness, can you hear my stomach growling? All right. So he's cute. I like it how his fur kind of goes different directions. Okay, so he also, you can't really see his eye super well, but you got a little bit of a sparkle in one part of it. But this eye is much brighter. I think it's really funny how they the creepy Ewok eyes, I still think are kind of awesome. They just kind of look like they're not really ever focusing on you, on what they're looking at. It's the whole thing of using like puppetry and costumes and stuff. but I kind of love it. It's a bit daggy, but I like it. We were went and saw the Lord of the Rings in the theater this week, the extended version of it. I know I'm a fandom jumping here for a second, but there's a reason. And we're commenting on, like, sometimes you feel distracted. You'd rather see the costumes and see someone dressed up as something than seeing CGI replace a real person. And there was just a couple scenes, like, we love it so much, but there's a couple scenes where, like, oh, I wish that wasn't CGI. I wish it was just him doing it, someone doing something less well with an actual person doing it, because it's just I think why bringing it back to the Ewoks. So I like the Ewoks because it's a person in the costume and stuff, but there's something about it that's just a bit more down to earth, and you kind of want to believe it. Like, you want to believe that it's real, and sometimes CGI stuff can be distracting. Sometimes the costumes can be distracting too. I think that's probably why some people don't like them, because you want to believe it's real, and when you can see the bits and pieces that aren't real, it kind of takes you out of that illusion that the story is actually happening, or the story really happened. Like when you watch a movie and you want to believe that it's real. Okay, just softening up, tinting his nose back. This is what I was talking about. Sometimes if it's not right, the nice thing about paint is that you can bring it right back and knock it back and forth a little bit. So I think his bat's hilarious. I'm just gonna use that area to wipe my brush off and give him a bit of fur in his hand. So he's got this fluffy. The temptation in these things is always to be like, there's a finger there, so I'll cover it with the same color paint. But you've got to kind of, with fur, you've got to think about the direction that it's going and pay attention to that. And it's almost like you're painting it, but you're not painting it. So I'm painting his hand, but I'm not painting his hand at the same time. I'm painting shapes around it to kind of give it the feel for it without actually doing it. It's a bit of a weird position for this hand to be, but that's all right. It gives a feel for it. And add a bit more fur down his front, just a few highlights, just to finish it off. My brush has gone a bit pink. This tone that's not the same tone as up above. Just going to try and cool it back a little bit. Well, I might just introduce the pink up here, because again, it's meant to be a study. It doesn't have to be perfect. So it is too pink. It's built up in my brush, so let me just get this out. Let's get a bit of a lighter color. Oh my goodness, my stomach is just contributing today. So I don't usually use white this early on, but I'm kind of feeling like I've built up a lot of texture and I just need to pull out a few highlights, and that might actually be done. So I always use white very sparingly, because it's a bossy color. And your eye, the reason it's bossy is because your eye goes to it right away. It sees white and it's like, oh, what's that? So you just want to put it in some areas, and it's deliberate. You want to put it where you want the eye to travel to, so, and where the brightest brights are. So this is a very neutral lit character. Like, it's not like he's got amazing dramatic lighting on him. It's not a main character moment for this guy. So the lighting isn't amazing on it. So it's easy to get carried away with the texture and the fur and rendering it all. So just choosing a few little bits to help your eye travel around the picture a little bit. And these highlights and the shape of them is what really gets your brain thinking this is fur, and this is, you know, this is scruffy or whatever. And he's got some adorable teeth right in here. So I think what I'm going to have to do is bring the darks back a little bit in this place just to help them pop out. It's got kind of, there we go. All right. Now what am I looking at here? So we've got his top of his finger, top of that finger, edge of that one. Around there. Edge of the bat. And a few little stray furry bits there. So I am going to leave this because it's just meant to be a study. But I am going to fix his mouth first. Hold on a sec. Let's get his little teeth going there. And I'm going to clean this off and get a dark color, and then I'm going to leave it because it's meant to be a really quick study, and I'm playing with this too much. Ooh, got a bit of white. So these colors, phthalo blue and burnt umber, are best friends. They make a really cool black. That's you can make a cool black or a warm black using these colors, but whichever way you go, it's much nicer than actual black, because black paint it does not play well with others. It just deadens the color and it has no depth or personality to it. I'm very opinionated about black paint. I think it's probably the way I was taught to paint in school. And discovered very quickly it just deadens colors, especially with watercolor. But black paint can be amazing with you know, inks and stuff like that. It can be amazing and graphic looking and stuff. But for me, black paint is reserved for picture frames and occasionally for drawing. Okay, remember what I said about bringing the blacks, using the blacks to bring it back in? So this is what I mean. Using the darks, you can come back in afterwards and cut in and fix things that weren't quite right. So this adorable little guy, his cute teeth are now more prominently featured again. And I'm just going to bring in this, make it look like he's coming out of his hoodie a bit more. And I'm going to use the black to just bring in a couple details, help them pop out a bit. Where his strings are on his jacket. And a little bit more on this side. And just going to soften that baseball bat. I didn't know they have baseball in Endor. Okay. I think that's enough. He's got a little bit of personality, and I'm going to move on because I want to work on a Millennium Falcon study too. So you can see I'm getting carried away, and then this is the problem. I say I'm going to stop, and then I paint something, and I'm like, oh, I just made a mistake. I've got to fix that. So the blue was too blue. And let's just pull his lip out here a little bit wider, and that will work with it that way. And this way a little bit. And okay, stop, Heather. Okay, let's just leave that because it's meant to be, as I said, no, look, there's one more little bit here. What are you doing? There we go. Okay, cool. My hand won't stop. It just wants to keep going. Okay, I'm not going to do any more on this. Now, last time I folded the paper up, I didn't put anything there, and I pushed the paper down too flat, and it kind of glued itself to the next paper, and it peeled a bunch of it off. Now I'm looking in the video there, and I can see it's going to bother me when I flip back to this, but this is just a bit, even though it's quite a large shiny reflection in the reference, it's going to bother me that it's too big. So I'm just going to knock that back just a little bit and brighten this one up just a little bit to balance them. There we go. That's allowed. I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to change my mind, say to stop and keep going. Okay, so that's good. Okay, let me just see if I can flip the paper up. I would really like to paint. I was taking trying to get a good, well, it's drying, reference of Millennium Falcon. So what I'm doing is I'm putting him in here. This was a flipped image that I was working with because I had a photo that was going this way, and I just flipped it the other way so I could get the angle. But the dish doesn't go on that side. The dish goes in, like you can see the front, the cockpit here, it goes on that side. So anyway, I needed to find some reference, and you can find really, some people make some amazing 3D models, and the angle is important because you're looking from the ground. So technically you'd be seeing underneath like this, but that's not that exciting. No one wants to look at the underbelly of it once, like, it makes sense. So I think what I've ended up at is that I feel like it should be, you want it to be kind of flying towards, like flying like away from the Ewoks. Like they're not flying to the Ewoks, they're not flying past it. They can see the tower. They're going they're probably going to land somewhere in there. This tower, it's huge, but it's way off in the distance. So I think probably an angle like this is going to be the best, because you feel like it's going away, and where the Ewoks are, they're kind of observing from the forest. So that's the angle I need to practice. So so I've got my first one there. I've got the next one here. Maybe what I'll do, since this is a bit wet, is I'll just turn the page up. I'll use my paint bucket to hold it up and out of the way. And yeah, we'll go like that. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it sideways. I'm going to turn the camera sideways too, so you can watch it more comfortably from this side. So let's go like this. Like this. Ooh, and the paint has all kind of gone wonky there. Okay, let's go like that. I'm going to go like that to hold the paper out of the way, and just get ready to be spun. Okay, there we go. All right, so with that, and the reference material, put it right in front of me. Oh, there's tea back there. It's cold. Okay. So, same thing, same buddies, phthalo, oh my goodness, my stomach. Phthalo blue and burnt umber are going to be together on this one. So Millennium Falcon, it's basically a circle, the triangle coming off the front of it. And we know this, which is why you kind of end up looking at what you're, like, I know what the Millennium Falcon looks like. It's a circle with a couple pointy bits off the front, and that's it. But if you don't look at reference, you kind of, your brain fills in the blanks and tells you, you just kind of end up doing things that aren't quite right. And sometimes you've got to look, well, so I do anyway, really look at it and see where my brain is assuming what something should look like rather than what does it actually look like. So it has a dish in the middle. It has a beams across there. It has, it's symmetrical with some variations to it. So So I am working wet into wet with this, wet paint into wet paint. And very quickly, because this is, again, I'm not making finished paintings. That's not the point of this. The point of this is that I can work out what puts it together, where the pieces go. So then when I work on the actual finished painting, it will, everything will be in the right spot because I've already got my mistakes out of the way. So this is a very smallish round part with the guns on the, some sort of thing on the top there. This reference, so this is the other detail that's really important. What shape is the, what shape should the satellite dish be in the front, on the top? And if you're, this is telling as to what kind of Star Wars fan are you, how old you are. So because we're in Endor, the satellite dish should be, hold on, I don't want to say it like round. It should be round because it gets knocked off, and then they replace it in the follow-up trilogy with a rectangular one, which is why my model has a rectangular one. It's my son's toy. One of my models anyway. That's why it has a rectangle. It's a newer one because the movies were out when he was little and they loved them. So I like them too. In fact, I would say I love them. I know a lot of people are like, meh, why did they do it? But I'm kind of pleased, and my daughters agree with me. Like we love it because there's a lot of Star Wars fangirls out there that have had the disappointment of like annoying romances that just don't work out in Star Wars. Like you got Han and Leia, which is kind of awesome, but then you got the kind of creepy, you know, the girls are like, why do they have to have him kiss his sister? That's gross. So like it's nice to have a romance or something that's not completely odd. So they were we were all crying in that one. We were really hoping for we enjoyed the playful romance between Ben Solo and Rey. So anyway, that's my stance on it. Star Wars fangirls need a little bit of romance in the storyline, and I think that's part of what made that story so fun. And Rey is just delightful. So many of the characters are really delightful. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one. So this is super, super helpful for me doing this right now. The difference too is this is going to be lit. This is going to be painted on a light blue background, like the actual picture is quite beautiful sunny sky. So it's going to be up in the sky. So when you picture like, and you see like an airplane flying overhead, often it's like way more stylized and not super detailed because you're seeing it from far away. So if I make it super, super detailed and sharp, that's going to kind of look like it's just been stuck on there. So I want it to look like it's catching the light and all that. So I'm going to have to think about that when I go to paint the real one. I'm just having a look where the pieces are. And okay, I am going to brush my brush off over here on that one with this one. I've got a canvas off to the side. I'm brushing my paintbrush on just because I would like to keep this a little cleaner, this one. Okay, let's just bring some of the darks back in. My brush is too big, which in this case I think is actually good because it forces me to not worry about whether things look perfect. it's just getting me to think about the angular shapes and the, oh yeah, need the dish. So, and some of these things are parallel to each other. Don't love that blue, but I'm running out of the brown. But with studies, it doesn't really matter what color it is, so I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm noticing I've got to pull it down a little bit to get it just a little bit rounder down this way. Not that round, but I'm going to not worry about it. Just to, because if the sun is coming from behind, this edge is going to be more in shadow. So I'm going to have to, when I paint it, I'm going to want to, the finished one, I'm going to want to make sure it's a really deliberate, the lights and darks are more deliberate. So I'm just using the darker color just to pull back some of the interesting, just to, the most important details. We were really lucky, and on the way back from my brother's wedding, we stopped in LA to go to Disney and got to see the Galaxy's Edge. So fun. But took some photos and did the Millennium Falcon ride twice because it was so fun. It was so fun. But it was amazing seeing it up close and all the, like, I took so many photos of all the rigging and stuff on top of it because I'd like to do some studies, like actual, like, just up close abstract studies of the of all the rigging and the just bits and pieces, like the wire. It's just cool. It's just a cool ship. I feel like every time I paint it, I'm like, it just doesn't do it justice. I feel like I need, but then this is just a quick study, so it's meant to be just the hint of what it is. But I'm really looking forward to working on some more right before May the 4th. I'm going to be switching over in March to more Star Wars inspired paintings, including some Galaxy's Edge inspired ones, and I really love the droid depot. I'm wanting to do some more stuff with that, and I've got some city scenes that I'm planning to junk up with droids, so that's gonna be fun. Too bright. Okay, so let's see. So I'm gonna wipe this brush off really quick. And I'm aware I've been painting and chatting for a while longer than I have other times. I think it's the end of the week. It's been a bit of a busy week. And I'm a little tired, so it's not coming along as fast as I usually do. But I just want to add a few little details and highlights on this, just to kind of, because this is basically my opportunity to think about what I'm doing for the upcoming the altar painting. So I'm not going to worry about, putting myself under pressure to make this something that's salvageable, because this is my chance to think about it. So if you've just popped on here and been nattering away, and if you've left me a comment or anything like that, I can't I can't look at comments and paint at the same time, so I'm probably not going to see it, and I don't really know. I haven't found a way on Instagram of seeing comments after or on YouTube after a live is done. So my apologies if I haven't answered your question. Feel free to drop me a note, and I will get back to you when I'm done. So all I'm doing here is, because this isn't meant to be a finished piece. It's a study to prep for an altar painting I'm working on. One that I'm upcycling with some Ewoks, Millennium Falcon. Yeah, basically a Moon of Endor sort of inspired piece. But I'm just having a bit of practice here. So I've already, in the altered one, I've already painted in the satellite dish, and I've painted in the planet Endor on the horizon, and I'm feeling much more confident with where I'm going with the Ewoks. So it's not, no! I never get paint on myself. So funny. This is what pride comes before the fall. Here we go. I just looked down and just saw paint all over my table. I'm like, where did that paint come from? There we go. All right. Well, my favorite sweater has a bit of one of my favorite colors all over it. That's all right. We'll leave that there. Let's clean this up before I make more of a mess. Okay, so we were talking about painting. Oh yeah, okay. So this is my practice before I paint the finished one. So just that's why I am not really worrying about making this perfect, but I'm just wanting to adjust things, and it's basically practice before I paint the real one. So, and I'm just using the white to just draw on some and adjust some lines and angles just to kind of get my mind around it before I work on the finished one. Which I'm hoping I might get some time tomorrow. I know it's the weekend, but it's been a bit of a busy week, and I haven't had a lot of painting time during the week. And tomorrow I don't have any plans. It's an at-home day. Kids are going to be recovering from our Lord of the Rings marathon at the theater. I took them to every night after school. So bad. Bad parenting. You guys can handle it. I'm a little bit tired for school. Anyway, they handled it very well, but I think they would appreciate a sleep in tomorrow because they've it did make it a bit extra busy. So anyway, I'm hoping I can delve into this on the weekend. I really was hoping to get to some, oh, that's the wrong angle, baby Ewoks today, but I don't have the time, and I will paint some. I've got extra pages in this book, and that would be really fun. I feel like I've got to do that to get it out of my system because I've been looking at them and they are just adorable. So let's see. It's interesting. There's some highlights down here around where the light catches from underneath the ship. And a little bit on the back. Almost done. Yeah, so I'm hoping, I really wanted to finish this one in January, so like, yeah, that would be kind of nice, because I'm working on this one and some Lord of the Rings inspired pieces at the same time. I used to work for a card company, greeting card company, and we'd be thinking about Valentine's Day at Halloween and Christmas at Easter and all those things, so I'm kind of used to channel flipping between subject matter, but I'm aware that it's a little bit hard for everybody else. So, so I'm trying not to share all that stuff too much. But I am going to be once this painting's finished, just Lord of the Rings for the rest of February and into March. All right, I think. Oh no. I'm allowed to keep going because this is my work. I need to practice and I need to study this, so I need a bit of dark just to pull some of these shapes back that aren't quite right, because I feel like this is part of what I'm learning, is the angles that I want this to be at. So when I do the finished one, it'll look better. There we go. I'm out of that dark brown. Let's add a bit of this burnt sienna in there and make a muddy kind of middle color. It's a blacky color, but it's not, you know, Not quite the same, but that's all right. Just want to darken this up a little bit. Got the round things. So I'm being careful not to put my sleeve in my paint. Some of these adjustments are the things I want to be thinking about, like, oh, this bit attaches this way and this bit attaches that way, because they will make the finished one better. Like, for instance, these bits kind of connect. Then there's some sort of plate on here. So the thing with I'm working in an old style, so I shouldn't be getting super tight. Like, this needs to fit into a painting that has a lot of texture. So if I make it too perfect and too like exactly like it's supposed to be, it's not going to fit in well with the painting. So that's why I'm not worrying about it. But it takes practice. Like, it's not, you can't just randomly paint something loosely and have it like turn out. It actually takes a bit of practice to looking at something and deliberate loose painting to be able to get that look, that effortless look. A lot of effort goes into that effortless look. So I'm hoping that that this will make it easier. It should make it easier. Always generally does make it easier. So anyway, I can hear some stapling going on downstairs. So my folks are over. They come over a couple of times a week to help me with framing and sometimes help me with shipping orders and stuff like that. But yeah, they help me with the framing my prints in custom old-timey frames that we collect locally and do up and then pop on my website. But also we're getting them ready for Fan Expo in the summer. A couple of fun pop-ups coming up. And yeah, so anyway, so they come over and they help me with that. So my dad's super clever, and my mom has an amazing eye for design, like interior design. So she's great at matching up old-timey frames with my prints and picking what goes where. So anyway, that's what the stapling noise is, if you can hear it. They're downstairs working on that. But I think I should stop soon because my tummy's rumbling, so it means that their tummies are rumbling and they need to have something to eat. So I think, yeah, okay. I'm really happy with, I know this just looks like a, chunky kind of, it's just messy. But I'm really happy because I feel like, okay, I've got an angle that I think is going to be good. I've just noticed that, like, this is a little bit too far forward. So when I do the actual one, I'm going to have to, let's just fix that a little bit. When I do the actual one, I'm going to have to remember to, sorry, my mind has just gone on to painting and fixing this because I just realized that the windows don't go down that far. This is why I practice, because I notice little details like that, and it makes a huge difference to notice it now and not be making that mistake on the finished one. Window starts up here. There we go. I don't remember what I was saying. Wasn't important. Okay. I just want a warm color. I don't want it to be blue. It's funny, some of these colors, they work so well on their own, but they are bossy colors, or like they work well with others, but they're bossy colors on their own. Like phthalo blue is so bossy, but it does work well with others when you kind of get the paint dry. But this is, I'm working wet into wet, so it's not very forgiving. It's smearing underneath it. So let's see if I can get a brighter white just to finish off that little bit. There we go. paint dried enough for me to do that, so that's good. Okay, so as I was saying, this shape wasn't right. It's not right. It should be back a little bit further out, but I'm not going to worry about it. This is a study. This is what the study's for, is to get it right, to figure it out before I do it on the actual one. Okay, one more little detail. I know I said this 6 times with the last one, but it really is one little detail. I just want to, there, get rid of that really blue color. All right, I think this says Millennium Falcon, and that's a good place to end it, because I will keep fiddling with it, and there's no sense in fiddling with it anymore, because it's done its job. It's there for me to it's meant to be a study to help me know how to paint it in the finished one. Well, thank you for hanging out with me for a while. I'll share more soon. I'm always sharing little sneak peeks and stories of things I'm working on. If you want early access to any of the art I'm working on, drop me an email through my website, upcycledvintageart.com. And if you get on my newsletter, that's the best way to be notified when new pieces are available. But if you see something you like, often they get collected by just anyone who just drops me a note and says, hey, I like that one. And I'll just keep in touch when they're ready. So anyway, that's it. That's it for today. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me while I did my work. So yeah, see ya. Have a good week.